Hey, this is Rob, and you're listening to the Hidden Destination podcast. This is an earlier episode. I am recording this on September 16th, directly, actually, after my ride from Bay City State Park, I believe, campground. I think it was a state park. Yeah, down to Otter Lake. I rode about 53 miles with a little bit, with only a little bit of climbing today. Under 1,000 feet. It was pretty flat, which was great. However, the headwinds, they're still kicking. They are still kicking. The wind trajectory today met me exactly where I was at, which was in the southeast direction. So it was, it was another 50 plus mile push into headwinds. And I tried shifting my mindset today and just embracing it and just embraced it. I sort of used the frustration that I was holding as a method to just push into the wind. And I don't want to say I fought it, but I sort of harbored the fight mentality. And I definitely made it a more enjoyable ride, because I didn't see it as a sort of a discouraging element. I saw it as a means of making myself stronger. So I'm trying to shift my mindset around these nasty headwinds. But overall, it was a great day. I got what I'm calling an early start, which is before 10 o'clock, which is hilarious. And that saved me for the morning, because the winds don't seem to pick up in earnest until like 3, and the gusts later in the evening. So tomorrow I have a higher mileage day with a bit more climbing to Port Huron, and I am going to try to get as early as a start as possible. So we will see how that goes. My track record for early starts is abysmal, but I sort of budgeted the day where I ate some breakfast super early and just pushed the whole 50 plus miles in pretty much one fell swoop, and got here early, which I think is the best approach. Because when I stop for a big lunch, I slow down, and instead it seems best to just stuff yourself at breakfast, and then just run on that for the rest of the day, so until dinner. So that's what I'm going to be doing, I think, moving forward. But yeah, it was a great ride. It was a good morning. Had a delicious breakfast. Broke down camp pretty quickly. None of my stuff was wet, which was nice. And I was approached by a cyclist who was cruising around the campsites. Her name was Cindy. She does a bunch of bike touring, and we got chatting for quite a while, actually. She was awesome. She does a lot of like advocacy work for Michigan routes, and she asked me pretty much immediately after I told her what my route was yesterday, whether or not I went down Wheeler Road, because Wheeler Road is part of the U.S. Bicycle Route 20, and I was like, yeah, it was horrible. And she was like, I know. She said she lives on the street that runs parallel just north of that, And she's like, I don't understand why that's labeled as the bicycle route, because it's a terrible, terrible route. And so she's like sort of petitioning to the state of Michigan to get that changed. So yay for Cindy, and boo for Wheeler Road. So I was able to, set out a little bit before 10. The winds were a bit gentler on me, and I was just riding the first, I'd say, 40 miles through some pretty amazing farmland. It was nice. It was flat. It was windy, but I hit some rail trail, and I was on mostly farm roads. And I decided, given my confidence in the adventure cycling route has diminished a little bit, and because I wanted to select for roads that had a lot of tree coverage, or at least not open field, to cut down on the wind, I sort of riffed on the adventure cycling route and used Google a little bit, took some additional liberties to find roadways that I said were more suitable for the elements, and it was great. It was a great ride. It was beautiful. I went through, I think the highlight of the day was I went through the town of Frankenmuth, probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's Michigan's German settlement. So back in the 1820s, 15 German immigrants from Franconia, Bavaria, led by Reverend August Kramet, founded Frankenmuth, in 1845. They were advised to settle here by Reverend Frederick Schmidt, who was a Lutheran pastor of Ann Arbor's German colony, founded in the 1820s. That's where the 1820s came in. And they basically set up shop here, and ever since it has preserved its German heritage. So it felt like I was riding through Bavaria. It was insane. It was very strange to be riding through some, truly American farmland and then cross into Germany. And there were like sausage shops and there was an old clock store. Just like it honestly felt like we were in the German part of Switzerland when we were in Switzerland. So it harkened back to that a lot. There was a covered bridge. Like all the architecture still holds a lot of German influence. It's pretty cool. Had I not wanted to get into camp early, I would have probably hung out there and stuck around a bit, but I decided to keep going. I was gonna treat myself to a cigar tonight, and there's this like awesome cigar shop in town that was closed, unfortunately. But I met a dude called Kyler, and I think his girlfriend was Jen, who was also trying to get into the cigar shop, and unfortunately he was both disappointed that it was closed, and we got chatting. They were both super cool people, and given that I know he enjoys tobacco, and I'm assuming the effects of tobacco, which are nicotine, I had been like sampling different Zyn flavors, and the Peppermint Zyn is disgusting, and so I didn't want to throw it out. So I was like, hey, you don't use Zyn pouches, do you? He's like, no, but my friend does. And so I was like, well, I have a pretty fresh container. The peppermint makes me nauseous, so you want it? And so the photo that I have with him is him holding up the Zyn pouch, the Peppermint Zyn pouch, which is funny. So that was a fun interaction. Then continued onward, went under the covered bridge, or through the covered bridge rather. So 2 days of cool bridges, and continued on my way to Otter Lake. And the stretch from, I think it's Millington to Otter Lake was all rail trail. It was very beautiful. It was called scrolling through my pictures here. It was the Southern Links Trailway, for hiking, biking, and equestrian use, part of Michigan's Iron Bell Trail. So that was really nice. Nice way to sort of end the day, cruising in on a rail trail, right to Otter Lake. I spoke with Donna this morning, who sort of runs the city campground here, and just inquired about a primitive site, and it is free for hikers and bikers. So that's awesome. And I'm right by the water. It's hot as hell. I saw in Frankenmuth that it was 90. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but it's hot. So I'm gonna swim in Otter Lake after I get camps. Actually, after I go to DG, and rinse off there, and then make a big dinner and try to get to bed early. And here we go. Try to get an early start. LOL. We'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But I'm going to try to beat the winds tomorrow. I don't really have internet access here, so I can't see when the winds are going to pick up. But maybe that's for the better. Just stick to the early start and just push. So push to Port Huron, where tomorrow I will be staying there with my dad's actually passing through the eastern side of Michigan, so I get to spend another night with him, which is awesome. And then I think I cross into Canada. So damn, I think that will conclude Michigan. I'll have to look at the map again, but yeah, making my way. So from Otter Lake, Michigan, until hopefully tomorrow, ta-ta.